The police dog barked desperately at the owner's funeral. When they opened the coffin, everyone screamed. The solemn silence of the funeral was broken by something unexpected. Friends, family and colleagues in uniform were there to pay their last tribute to police hero Ethan Carter. Everyone was in mourning, remembering the bravery of the one who dedicated his life to protecting others. But in the middle of the ceremony, a sound began to echo throughout the place, an insistent and distressed bark. It was Max, the faithful police dog who was always by Ethan's side on his most dangerous missions. He wasn't just sad, something about him seemed desperate. At first, those present thought it was just the natural reaction of a dog who has lost his partner. But they soon realized that something was wrong. Max didn't just whine. He pulled on the leash, tried to move towards the coffin and barked frantically, as if trying to warn of imminent danger. The climate has changed. Murmurs began to spread among the guests. What was happening? What was Max trying to say? The agitation was so great that some police officers tried to calm him down, but nothing stopped the dog. His despair increased with each second, and then the question that no one wanted to ask arose. Was something inside that coffin not right? The tension became unbearable. The police chief hesitated, but faced with the animal's increasingly intense reaction, he made a radical decision. They needed to open the coffin. What happened next left everyone terrified. Max has always been by Ethan Carter's side. Inseparable companions, they faced countless dangerous missions together. The police dog was not only trained to sniff out drugs or chase criminals, he had a keen instinct, capable of perceiving what humans did not see. And that day, his behavior was clear. Something was wrong. At first, those present tried to ignore the insistent barking. Some believed that Max only felt the pain of parting. But it soon became impossible to ignore. He didn't just bark, he pulled on the leash with all his might, scratching the ground, trying to move towards the coffin. His eyes were wide, his entire body was shaking with tension. "He's trying to warn us about something," muttered one of the police officers. Family members began to exchange worried looks. The dog's despair was so intense that some people felt a shiver run down their spines. What did he know that others didn't? The commotion grew. Some tried to calm the dog, but Max wouldn't give up. He resisted, growled, and with every second that passed, his despair only increased. Something inside the coffin made him lose control. But what? The police chief, who until then had observed the scene in silence, realized that he could not ignore the situation. The dog's gaze conveyed an almost supernatural urgency. He took a deep breath and made a decision. Open the coffin. But when the lid was lifted, what they saw made everyone present scream in horror. The silence at the funeral became deafening. Everyone held their breath as the police unlocked the lid of the coffin. What could be inside to make Max so desperate? With a slow creak, the lid was lifted. At the same moment, screams echoed throughout the hall. What they saw inside was so unbelievable that some people backed away in shock. The body inside the coffin was not Ethan Carter. The police officer's mother was the first to scream. His eyes widened in horror as he realized that this man was not his son. "This is a mistake. That's not my Ethan," she screamed, covering her mouth with her hands. Confusion spread like wildfire. Family members began to cry. Officers looked at each other in shock. How was this possible? If that wasn't Ethan, who was in there? And more importantly, where was the real Ethan? As everyone tried to process the absurdity of the situation, Max, the faithful police dog, finally calmed down. He stopped barking and sat down next to the coffin, as if he knew his warning had been heard. Now, a question hung in the air, more frightening than any other. If Ethan wasn't there, could he be alive? The police immediately began an investigation. What they discovered soon after would change everything. The shocking discovery at the funeral prompted police to launch an immediate investigation. How could such a grotesque mistake have happened? Where was Ethan Carter? The search led investigators back to the hospital where Ethan had been taken after the shooting. It was then that the truth came out. A frightening medical error had occurred. On the night of the shooting, 2 seriously injured police officers arrived at the hospital at the same time. One of them did not survive and was declared dead, while the other was placed in a medically induced coma due to the severity of his injuries. But, in the confusion of the rescue and with faces covered in bandages, identities were changed. The body sent for the funeral was not that of Ethan Carter, but that of another police officer on the team. Meanwhile, Ethan was alive, unconscious, fighting for his life in a hospital bed. Thanks to Max's insistence, the error was discovered in time. The medical team immediately confirmed the patient's identity and began taking measures to ensure his recovery. Ethan was alive. But what would happen when he finally woke up? Weeks passed. The moment everyone has been waiting for has finally arrived. Ethan has awakened. Still weak, he had no idea what confusion had occurred. But as soon as he heard the voices of his colleagues and saw the emotional faces of his family, he knew something incredible had happened. But the most exciting reunion was yet to come. The moment Max saw Ethan awake, he ran over to him, jumping on the bed and licking his face over and over again. The dog, who never gave up on his partner, could finally rest knowing his best friend was back. Tears filled the room. Ethan hugged Max tightly, feeling the warmth and loyalty of the one who, once again, saved his life. From that day on, Ethan and Max became more inseparable than ever. Together, they continued working, helping to save lives and proving that the connection between a police officer and his dog goes beyond what anyone can imagine. What did you think of this unbelievable story? Comment below and share with your friends. If you believe that dogs are man's best friends, leave a like and subscribe to the Stories That Touch the Soul channel for more exciting stories. See you in the next video.